What is up, everyone? Welcome back here to the
So
Meme
Caitlin
Ranch.
says Caitlin says we're going to tear into Lichtman and Destiny for being wrong about the election. I'm all about that.
That is one of the areas we have not touched yet since the election, and man, it still feels like it happened an hour ago because like I haven't stopped grinning the entire time. It's like I didn't know that these amounts of like natural dopamine, uh, you know, this access point to like pure joy was even a thing until Trump won. And I was excited the first time that he won. I was excited for new beginnings, but I feel like it's just the fact that we're walking into the White
Yes,
House
we were
with
excited the first time, the second time, and the third time he won.
yeah, exactly.
Because
We got a little too excited
apparently
the second.
11 million votes just disappeared this time. I don't know what that's about, but on the
See,
Democrat side,
everyone's been pointing that out as like it's like some sort of like easily explainable thing, like, oh, it was COVID
it
and blah blah
is
blah. Yeah,
cheating.
exactly. I think that I have your name right now. Why do I brought back the Officer K title. We're bringing that back.
I saw that.
Yeah, we're bringing back Officer K. But yeah, so we're gonna talk a little bit about Alan Lichtman and Destiny. Look at Destiny, by the way. This is where we ripped the thumbnail from this photo. I don't even know who this is, but I don't think they're. I don't think that's a woman. Uh, just basing that off of
No, it's not a
speculation right
woman.
now.
It's got a beard.
Yeah, exactly. It's its last name is Bonnell. So we know we know that that's not.
Why are you showing me this, Caitlin?
I'm just showing people the reference material for our thumbnail. But
Okay.
yeah, we were gonna go straight into. Oh, should we go with that Alan Lichtman
Yeah, let's start a
clip?
video.
Yeah.
Let me set it up real quick. So Lichtman had his was it 13 keys?
Yes, his
13,
13 precious keys.
13 keys. So this guy is a left-wing nut that basically marketed his guruism on the election. And his claim to fame was the original midterm election or the second election for Reagan in 1984. He predicted that. Well, any idiot, I predicted it and I was like 13 or 14 years old. Any idiot could have predicted Reagan was going to win back in 84. So that was the original Morning in America campaign. Everyone was voting for Reagan. He had turned the country around. He was like Trump before Trump happened. So big deal. You do that. And he built his whole career off that claim and then marketing his his election predictions because it's simple simple. It's a simple thing to grasp. There's 13 keys and the media loved it. So they lapped it up and made this guy a star. And he was able to basically act as wish fulfillment for the Democrat Party. I say that Kamala, like they wanted Kamala to win. This guy was going to give them cover. That's pretty much what's happening. You know what I like about that?
That's how Trump's going to walk out.
I mean, that's not what Trump does, but that is definitely the energy he gives off when he's on stage.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I mean, like he's got other people that can come up there and do that for him. He's got his own signature moves.
But I mean, you get that feeling, you get the energy like that he's up there just killing it when he's on the stage. So, and it's always good vibes.
Yeah, did you see that they're shadow banning the Kodak Black
No,
video? Yeah, there
no.
was a Kodak Black video with Donald Trump, and so we got our first comment tonight. Trump got the dub thanks to Egon. Yes,
Egon.
he did. We're still on the hunt for Egon.
We got the Chilakians back again.
In Minecraft. No, but he's I don't know if he's still living at that place in Massachusetts. So yeah, where's Egon is kind of the question. So here's this Alan Lichtman giving a spiel.
System the keys to the White House, which has been right since I predicted Ronald Reagan's reelection in April 1982. Kamala Harris will become the first woman president, and she will be the first president of African and East Asian mixed descent.
Based on your model, these are your 13 keys. It's true or false questions that look at the strength and the performance of the party that's in the White House. What leads you to that conclusion, Professor, that it's Kamala Harris who will win?
We don't look at polls. We don't pay attention to pundits who don't have a scientific basis. It takes 6 or more negative keys to count out the White House party, Kamala Harris, and the Democrats. I find definitively they have only lost 4 keys. The mandate key, because they lost U.S. House seats in 2022. The incumbency key, because it's now an open seat. The incumbent charisma, because whatever you may think of Harris, she's not a Franklin Roosevelt, one of those once-in-a-generation, transformational, inspiring candidates. That's 3. 4 is foreign policy failure. Gaza is a humanitarian disaster with no end in sight, and the U.S. is very heavily invested there. So that's only 4 keys down, 2 keys short of a predicted defeat.
What about the fact that your keys and your prediction have come before tonight, the only debate between these 2 candidates?
I deliberately issued my predictions before the debate to get across to people of the U.S.
This guy's a mastermind, man. He's still
he really is a confidence. He's a con artist. He is so confident. He's a con artist.
Is that what con artist means?
I think so. He's a confidence artist. So he is basically pushing the hopium that Kamala, like he's making you feel, oh my gosh, you are voting for the right candidate because of the 13 keys. And it's not science, but it's my system. And it's very reliable because I knew back in 82 when Reagan ran. So
this guy needs a lesson in generational theory. I think he might have better prospects.
How so?
Yeah, I think that he would have better prospects if he like actually paid attention to what we've been looking into the last, several years. Thanks to you, actually, most part, looking into Neil Howe's theory. I mean, I swear to God, I knew this guy was popular, but I didn't see him on Patrick Bet David until it was months after we've been talking about the fourth turning in generational theory. So I felt like you, Xvala, I think you get a lot.
Are you about Neil Howe? Or
yeah,
this,
yeah.
or like,
I think you get a lot of praise just for talking about Neil Howe so much in this election cycle, because I think that your understanding of generational theory was something that really made a lot of sense to me whenever I first heard it, and it's caused me to explain it to a lot of other people. And maybe it's one of those things that's a fluke and like it won't work for other elections and things like that. But I do think that it has a lot of if people need an analogy to assess something, I think looking into generational theory is a really good way of explaining what we just saw.
I like that. I like that, Kalen, because Lichtman here, getting my names crossed. He has his little model that to me really is quackery. Neil Howe, it's not science. It's social science, which is not an exact science, obviously. But it does explain, and I can just tell from my personal experience as somebody who fits into a certain generation that my role actually has followed, my life has followed this role to a large extent. My experiences as a human have followed his personality archetype, so to speak. And you can look at somebody like Donald Trump, who is somebody who's arrived on the scene at a time of crisis in America that cannot be denied or even argued. And he has and is leading America through this time of crisis with his slogan, "Make America Great Again," which is this prophecy, which is what? Somebody who is a prophet of the fourth turning, according to Neil Howe's generational theory. That's how it works. And it's almost like... it's real. I mean, it is just social science. There's nothing supernatural about this. It's how human nature, it just has patterns to it. And it's so cool to be aware of this pattern and be able to witness it and actually live it also, and make art from it.
Yeah, no, totally. I think that it's important, I think, for people to understand, that we're in this point in time where things could get a little bumpy and we needed strong leadership.
Are bumpy.
Yeah, I mean, like, get bumpier than where they are. I mean, like, I think that what we're seeing right now is essentially just the beginning of a potentially tumultuous time in American history. We don't know what the future holds. We hope that we can end the war in Ukraine, and we hope that we can stabilize the Middle East.
Well,
But
according to generational theory, according to his own calculations or like estimates, this started in 2008 with the economic downturn, and will proceed all the way through 2033. So that means we're not quite through to the end of it. We're at the beginning of the end. And typically, a fourth turning, according to Neil Howe, is outlined or characterized by conflict. It's either total war or civil war. And I'm very curious to know, and I am looking into this, Meme Ranch is looking into this, is there something unique about this fourth turning? Could it be the last, Kalen? You asked that? I don't know. But is it maybe that this was, by some providence, an information war as opposed to a civil war or a total war? Total war meaning like World War II. Is this a new phenomenon where our crisis has either been to deal with an information war or avoid like some sort of like kinetic war because we went through an information war? If Trump had been assassinated, what would that have done for our path into conflict? Would we have been thrown into a world war? So I really want to ask Neil Howe these questions.
yeah, I'm seeing a lot of retrospective right now on the whole shooting incident. Like, I'm seeing people post that on X, and it's very interesting just because I think people are sitting beside themselves thinking like, man, things could have been really different. And so that Trump shooting incident really carries a lot of staying power, because I imagine like a scenario where Harris would have won, all these signs and everything pointing to Trump's role in history being so much bigger than just a presidency. I think people would have like looked past. People are saying like, okay, he won. Like, wow, he almost wasn't here to win. Like, that's something that a lot of people who don't pay attention necessarily 24/7 start to sort of pick up on. And I think it's really something, I think, that people are looking at that as having significance, because I was worried that people were going to look past it because Trump shooting, we all know, was not in the news cycle even near long enough as it really should have been. Like, it was just there for a moment, and then people kind of look past it, and we're back to calling him Hitler, back to calling him a Nazi. So that was something that was really.
Wait, we are?
No, I'm just saying, like,
Who is?
MSNBC.
Okay, well, don't make it sound like we are, because I'm not.
No, we like the media
Right.
just quickly, and like also freaking Kamala Harris, and everyone went back to calling him like an authoritarian. So when I say we, I just meant like the cultural zeitgeist before Trump won the election, because I do think that we're in a new stage now, and I do think that like a lot of the media is even waking up to the fact that Joe Rogan is more relevant than they are, and I think that that's something that a couple people in the media are going to realize, but not enough. A lot of them are just going to stay implicit in the past and sort of look past this movement with citizen journalism,
Hey, Kalen,
because
might
that's
have-
an important movement, and people are dismissing it.
you might have to back out and come back in because your video is not working. We live in the best timeline. I don't know, do we? I kind of think you might be right, because if the assassination on Trump had happened, like, that is a definite timeline. I mean, that's a timeline, and then we're in another timeline. We're in maybe the alternate timeline. Like, somehow the Matrix, whatever you mean by that, took us to this other place. So, like, we might be in the best timeline. I really want to see what happens over the next 3 years and 10 months, or 4 years, whatever the time frame. I want to see what happens with the MAGA movement and see how good the timeline can get.
I agree. My camera is
what
going
is
to be
going on?
Well, a lot of this is going to get resolved whenever I get my new computer in tomorrow. Yeah. So I mean,
yeah, just do that.
It's whatever.
Yeah, just do that.
But no, I think that
are we living in the best timeline, Kalen?
I know. I was going to respond to that. I mean, I think we might be. I think that there's a good chance that the worst timeline is something like Trump getting shot, like that is, or getting killed. I mean, that's, to me, there's probably way worse timelines even than that, but that's definitely one that we wouldn't want to experience.
So the chat actually makes me think, does voting affect the timeline? Oh yeah, Europe is big. We can help save Europe, or actually we can help Europe save themselves. I've talked to so many people through my experiences at art conventions who are from Europe, and specifically Art Basel, and they will secretly tell me that it's a big movement over in these other countries. The problem is it's not authentic to their country. So it's just something they picked up from America, and which is great. America's, it's espousing freedom to the rest of the world. But when they try and import it into their Eastern Bloc countries or even Western European countries, it's tied to like one person, and it's not a real grassroots thing. It's what it was explained to me as, it's coming from like a person down, whereas Trump was able to make the message resonate within his support base, and they built it up, and they took that ball and ran with it. Which is in Europe, it's kind of, they have a different orientation to politics, and it's always coming from their leadership, and there's not a lot of grassroots, maybe because of free speech is not really existent there the way it is here. So, but they can definitely take a lesson from the MAGA movement. Like make Britain great again. Make Britain great again would be great to see. Nigel Farage, he lives in the spirit of MAGA. Who's the Italian prime minister? She does.
Oh yeah, I know you're talking about the woman.
I can't remember her name.
I got it. It's Giorgia Meloni.
Meloni.
Mm-hmm.
She's pretty much MAGA. So in spirit, there is the MAGA presence, and I was thinking about this today. Like, people are very fragile as humans. Like, our bodies are very fragile, and what makes us strong is our spirit. And if you have the spirit of wanting to make your life great again, like make America great again, that's what makes you strong. And I think that's what this movement's all about, is like personal empowerment.
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to get this camera set up again. I don't know if it's gonna work. I thought it was because my phone went to sleep, but
that's weird. We've both had problems tonight.
Yeah, big tech's out to get us. I'm just gonna actually go to my.
Let's put that video back up.
All right, yeah, let's get it going. I gotta reload it. I keep talking about something. Oh yeah, there was a picture of Barron with Nigel Farage.
Oh, at Mar-a-Lago?
Yeah. That was a cool
I bet
photo.
that looked funny, like this tall and then this tall.
All right, let's get the moment that he started to realize it was all going to the...
Your camera's working now.
Oh, really?
Yep.
But based on how far ahead she is compared to Biden.
Okay.
Still giving New York Times Trump a slight edge.
In Pennsylvania?
Yeah, I don't see it. Wow. I think she's going to win Pennsylvania, despite what the New York Times is projecting.
Yeah, they don't know what they're talking about.
I don't see how she doesn't win Pennsylvania.
I agree.
Because he won Pennsylvania and she's doing better.
Don't get too wrapped up in the New York Times projection. I don't even know if they're mathematically sound.
This is
don't
his
get
son,
too wrapped up
right?
in them.
I'm worried about everything.
I don't know.
I think this guy's
I still think she's going to win Pennsylvania.
the other guy in the stream
but-
is his
Yeah,
son.
me
Not
too.
the
What
Yeah,
is
yeah.
the guy
looking iffy
watching
to
this
The guy with
video,
the white
but
thing.
yeah.
The New York Times is projecting Trump to win all 3 of the blue all states.
What?
Yep. A lot of processing of mail ballots in Pennsylvania.
That's got to be kind of
Not
embarrassing to be
counting
his
them
son.
until today.
These people don't have any shame, Kalen.
49.3% for Bucks in Harris when it was 51 for Biden. Philadelphia 78 for Harris when it was 81 for Biden.
Not good. Votes that are going to be counted tomorrow.
He's trying to
Yeah, there's
keep you
not gonna be that
confident
many.
that the left is going to win. That's
But
the
it's probably
problem.
not going to be.
He is talking about votes being counted tomorrow.
Yeah, that's hopium.
That's how the left hopes they win. Is
Yeah.
that they get all the late arriving votes.
We stuffed it so bad that that you can't beat the cheat.
This guy is such a loser, man.
Scammer, dude. Scammer, dude. That's my personal vibe on that. Why would you need to count so many votes after the voting stop?
Let's try to find Destiny on election night. There's already a meltdown video. Trump victory after.
There's one reality that you would have to embrace, but nobody will do it, obviously, because it's a depressing reality. Do you think they should have run Joe Biden? When exactly did you realize that Trump won and it was over? In terms of what happened for the election, I think we'll know a little bit more when we get exit polling. Or not exit polling, but I guess as we do more polls and go through stuff over the next few weeks. But I think the actual answer is probably really, really, really boring, which I think doesn't bode well for 2028. When COVID happened, the country was and people were mad at how thing was, and so they just voted for Biden because shit was so. And then I think that
Okay, so
after
so far I don't disagree. I've been saying that COVID was like a giant off button to a lot of people who don't understand how the president works. Like, people felt enabled to vote for the first time in a long time because they felt like if they all just joined together and formed like a massive finger that was pressing the off switch on COVID, which that wasn't even what it was going to do, but they just told themselves in their mind that that's what this giant red button does, and that if they assembled enough people, they could do it. And then they did it, and it was 4 years of near recession or just
I don't
record
think
high.
my personal take on it is that it was cheating. Just that simple. I don't know about all this other stuff. I think people were freaked out. Freaked out in 2020. I think there's cheating.
This guy says they're golden. Yeah, I'm sure they are. I'm happy I haven't watched any of these yet, so I can fresh.
It's popcorn watching, man. Destiny. I just don't even understand like what the process is between his ears. I really don't. I don't live in that world. But it is interesting.
COVID, when Biden came in, basically, I think no matter who was president, shit's going to be, people are going to be mad. They're going to vote for the other dude. Maybe something will come out from the, data that says something different, but I'm pretty sure that it actually just comes down to that, as stupid as it is. The only frustrating or annoying part about that is that Trump is likely going to have a pretty good 4 years, because I do think that the Democrats, policy-wise, have done a phenomenal job at turning everything around and like setting us up for like an amazing 4 years.
See, this is the liberal. Okay, but
what?
Remember, I was on a phone call with you earlier, and you did agree with me that it was nice. Just the idea from a Republican perspective or MAGA perspective.
MAGA. I'm not Republican. MAGA. Right.
Yeah, because that's a new party, honestly. When asked if he had a political orientation, Barron said recently that he has none. or that he doesn't like either side, basically. So that was
Right.
interesting.
Right. Yeah. So the old thinking, the paradigm shift is now MAGA. So the old way of thinking is Republican, Democrat. They're really the same party.
But it's so good for MAGA because Trump was basically president during Biden's time. I don't care what anyone tells me, because he just, I mean, because there's often this left wing cope whenever like someone like Trump wins, that they talk about how the president's like only like a figurehead, and like we can get into that argument if we want, but let's just assume that that's literally all the president is, which it's not.
It's not what it's
Then
supposed to be.
Yeah, then Trump, maybe
That is, by the way, just to make it clear, that is the left wing argument to these days. That's totally what they believe. That's not just a hypothetical. That is what they believe.
Rasmus is killing it. 100% retarded. That's like the Plankton's wife, like dipping him in the.
But you've heard this right, Kalen. This is actually not. This is not playing around. This is an actual ideological principle. Is that the president should be a figurehead, and that the state should run everything.
Right.
You've heard this, right? Okay.
Yeah. And like a lot of like people on the left are like throwing around like the term like unitary executive theory and things like that, and like how it's going to be tested or something for the first time. And I'm like, no one's even talking about unitary executive theory that I can tell.
They don't call it that, but that's what that's what their belief is.
Sounds like what the left, like a term that the left uses to like cope with like what's about to happen with a well-oiled machine, in the executive. But yeah, like my whole point though that I was getting at is that
Right.
Trump, people who voted against Trump in 2020 only prolonged their suffering, and that's not a new idea. Just look at the people that were saying the same thing. Like if Trump lost in 2024, then they would just have to, prolong their suffering because Trump was going to find a way to stick around, because the left always calls him a political cockroach.
You know the meme, hard times make strong men. That's what 2020 through 2024 is. It's living that meme. Hard times made strong men, and strong men showed up at the poll.
And the MAGA movement is better off for it, because so what? Let's just say you do think Biden's policies are what are going to lead us into a strong 2024. Suck it up, because Trump gets to own that. He gets to own all of the blessings that people reap from an economy that's bouncing back from a once in a lifetime pandemic. I mean, that is like the biggest cell phone.
Let's
hope. But I do think so. And people want to talk about tariffs all the time. And I think that tariffs are a good thing. I think that we need tariffs in order to get this country back on the right track, or else we're going to completely just keep being subservient to other countries.
Wait. They're talking about American tariffs, right?
Yeah, like tariffs. Yeah, like American tariffs. Like
all these other countries have tariffs on us, which we never talk about.
Yeah, exactly. We never talk about those. Yeah, but I'm saying American tariffs. Yeah. And I think it's really important to getting people to, I have a bike company that manufactures everything that I make, or that goes on my bike. But every single time I order a part from them, they always tell me that it's going to be a little while because they have to order it from China. Well, this bike company is no longer in business, and they just closed their doors about 3 weeks ago. And it makes me think that, a company is sort of doing this. Why can't they be making their bike parts here in America? Why can't they be, because I've had trouble with some of the parts that I've received that have gone out. And, I'm just thinking, well, I get it. It's cheaper to make it over there, but, we should be making these things as much as possible over here in the United States, because I think that it's the only way that we're going to make this country matter in the long term. If we don't have things that are built over here, with most of its parts being able to at least be obtained on this hemisphere, I'll say,
well, if a lot of people want to order things from China because the cost basis is lower, they can charge more for here, they can get it lower there. There is a race to the bottom when you're trying to unless you have a strong brand, you're competing on price. and a lot of people want to compete on price. My point here is with tariffs, if you're taxing the country that wants to import into the United States, you're collecting money on that exchange, and that raises the cost basis for the product, goods and services. But it also raises the value of American labor or American goods. So by having this tariff built in as an expense for countries coming into American markets, you are, in theory, strengthening the marketplace for American jobs and American manufacturing, American services, because people want to have jobs where there's money. And if in this market space of whatever, bikes, it costs more now to import, well, then that's a kind of a higher threshold for somebody to come into an American company or job and earn that money. So there is an added benefit. Things will cost more, but I mean, we have to have jobs.
Yeah,
Taylor?
I think that people will be paying fewer taxes as well. Like, the percentage of taxes coming out of your paycheck will be less, and I think that will help offset some of the burdens that will, arise from maybe higher cost of goods. But I do think that over time you will get the cost of goods back down again. It's just, how long will we have to kind of live in those hard times in order to start to see the benefits of those things? But I do think that, 4 years of really promoting this type of strategy in our economy will force the country to have to adapt. There's no other way there's nothing else that can be done at that point, and you'll just wind up having a stronger country in the long run when you have more people to hire to do these jobs that we were just selling overseas. And I think that that's just really, really a golden opportunity. And we can't flout this. We have to make America something that can provide things for the world. We can't just be providing nothing except our freedoms. You know what I mean? Like, we actually have to have things that matter.
I think America's too busy sitting around talking about stuff and looking at stuff instead of doing shit. We need to be doing shit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sitting here talking, but I'm also back there making art, and I'm also producing documentaries. I'm running this studio. I'm busy doing stuff. I barely have time to sit down here and talk on this damn microphone in front of the camera, but I make time to do it because I want to back up what I do with some explanation and some pushback, frankly, on these idiots like Destiny, who all they want to do is be an e-personality, and that's not really adding very much. I mean, like, who's
know
gonna?
that Destiny's 11-year-old son is a groper?
I didn't know he had an 11-year-old son.
I didn't really know until recently either. I gotta admit.
No wonder he's so grumpy. Let's hit play on that meltdown.
Years coming up, and Biden is going to be president for that, and he's going to get credit for all that. Any infrastructure reinvestment that happens because of the IRA, because of the infrastructure bill, anything that happens as a result of our strong export market, strong currency. I don't know how, in terms of imports, I guess. I don't know how the tariffs and everything will affect that. I don't know if Trump will go through the tariffs. Who knows? Prices won't go down, though. I got an email a long time ago. I think I mentioned this on stream about Wittgenstein. That I'm attributing this to him, but it really comes from an emailer, and I don't know if it's phrased well. But I think something that you have to do is you have to be able to parse what people say and figure out like what they actually mean. Because people don't actually mean what they say all the time. It's a proxy for other things. So people are saying like, well, prices aren't going to go down, but that doesn't matter. None of the Trump people, prices won't go down. That's true, because inflation is cumulative, right? Remember, when you're talking about inflation, you're talking about a derivative. And a derivative is just measuring the rate of change between 2 points.
Okay, you're smart. We get it.
That function is always going to be positive. So the underlying function. So inflation is always going to increase. But when we talk about inflation, we're talking about the rate.
We'll go back to this in a second. this was something though. Apparently,
Can I say something, Kalen, real quick?
Yeah.
That guy, what irritates me is people who think they can sound smart, and then that's the answer, sounding smart. It's not. You got to run stuff. You got to make stuff. You got to do stuff. You got to freaking land a 22-story rocket with chopsticks. Then you'll impress me, dude. I mean, that's just talk.
Inflation is on the way down, though. Inflation is already on a downward trend, thanks to your Joe Biden. And so if that's the case, then is inflation going to go back up under Trump because of tariffs? Like I think that if you strategically implement tariffs, like, okay, they're not just going to implement tariffs that are going to like aim to make your groceries the highest that they're going to get. Like I think that whenever it comes to like goods and things like that, I think that we can make exceptions for things like that so that you don't actually feel the pinch as much as you would if it was just blanket tariffs across the board. Like, does that make sense?
I want to ask the audience, who do you think is the country that has the least amount of tariffs? Because I think it might be America. I'm not for sure about that. Let's just say on the major world market, I think America has the least amount of tariffs. So, I mean, there's room for negotiation at the very least.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, you see other countries that, we have a 1.6% on imports right now, I think, which is similar to Japan in the EU.
That's across the board.
Yeah, I think yeah, and then so I don't know, it varies. It varies depending on, the time and place. So like let's see like what other countries? Armenia has 3.6%.
I like how Trump argues this from a MAGA. The MAGA argument is not a policy wonk. It's not, this percentage or this percentage. He's like, it's not fair. It's not fair. That's how you have to look at these situations. It's not fair what they're doing to America. That's Trump's argument. And I think that the finer details need to, not for you and me, Kaylin, but I think overall they will be dealt with in negotiations.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it really depends on like what percentage we're talking about here. Like what percentage do we have in tariffs? Because I think that once you rise above like a 4%, like you can start to get a little bit into like kind of like, okay, can we afford this kind of thing?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what he's saying. I'm not saying tariffs are a bad thing or Trump shouldn't do it, but it will increase inflation as a fact. It's not about protecting jobs, but manufacturing. I mean, that in turn leads to job creation, though. I mean, I don't think how. Well, but I get what he's saying. Yeah,
there is. So you have a family member in manufacturing. There are sort of aspects to what that commenter said that I would agree with. That manufacturing does have sort of like a tax implications, and investment implications other than just jobs. So, but manufacturing is very important to national productivity. Tesla is a good example. Elon is one of the world's richest men in history because of manufacturing. So, it's a very important aspect of your economy. I'm not an economist, I'm an artist, but it's just common sense. So,
yeah. Here's more of a meltdown one with Piers Morgan.
Chilling self-confidence, which I obviously admire as a trait. Do you have a moment of self-awareness where you just go in the mirror, wow, I was so wrong?
Wow.
On the one hand, I'm like, this guy. On the other hand, I kind of respect it because if we won, we would be sticking the knife in, okay? That's why I'm not getting super aggro when the occasional MAGA person shows up in either one of these chats and starts gloating. It's like, in my head, I'm like, fair play. I'd be doing the same thing.
Who's
Friends,
this
if you
guy,
have a
Kaylin?
second or two, click like, comment down below. I would really...
This
Who is
is Hutch.
Hutch. I haven't watched Hutch.
Is this like Hutch from like the gaming, like Rooster Teeth?
Why wouldn't it be? I guess.
Appreciate it. Thank you guys, and I hope you enjoy the video. Longtime viewers of the channel are aware that I am a huge fan of chess, which brings me to the sponsor of today's video, AnyChess.com. This is a variation of chess that is being developed alongside chess.com, another organization that I've done partnerships with in the past. What's unique about this? Check it out.
Since Trump's stunning victories, understandably being rivers of tears shed by some of our regular uncensored contributors, and we feel it's important to check in on them just to check they're okay.
Oh, dear.
Here's how my final guest today reacted in real time as the results came in.
They're still outstanding. Are they not counting them here? What's going on, Vadim? You should know this. Why isn't Philadelphia counting votes? I wanna know
Oh,
Wait,
dude, I've missed
is
this
Pierce
whole
presenting
thing.
this as though Destiny
I didn't know this was
wasn't
real.
being sarcastic? That's exactly what he's doing, isn't he?
No, I think
Does Pierce
that's
know
real,
that he
isn't
was
it?
being sarcastic? Does he even know that he was being sarcastic here?
what is going on? What the hell is going on right now?
That sounds like real Destiny
Well, by
to
popular
me.
demand, Destiny
That does not sound sarcastic to me.
No.
It sounds like something he would try to do like sarcastically, like in a certain context.
Right,
no,
but
like,
it's real.
That was his. I watch enough Destiny to know that is his real voice. Like there is no sarcasm. in
No, that was panic. That was panic. Yeah.
Yeah?
Well, you know what? I know that's a popular meme out there about the Brentwood deal, but America is not strong. I mean, you cannot argue, obviously, that the petrodollar's important. America's strength is in its constitution and our right to free speech, our right to 2A. That's what facilitated that deal. That's how we got there. So the key to America's strength and prowess is not some petrodollar, because that will be gone at some point in the future. What we have to like rely on is our free speech, our constitutional republic. That's what facilitates these things in culture and our relations with other nations. So yeah, I mean, it is at the moment the thing, but we got there because of who we are. Where'd you go, Kaylin?
I just wanted to give you the floor there.
Okay.
That was
Sorry.
That was good. Yeah, no, this is just so rich. I mean, it's so good. to
Joins
see
me
this.
now. Destiny, I can't imagine this could have gone any worse for you, could it?
There are ways it could have gone worse. I think the writing was probably on the wall. Obviously, I have to do a stream for. Well, I could think of a number of ways it could have gone worse. We could have lost every single state. Could have been the Reagan landslide that everybody wanted it to be. But I think the writing was probably on the wall when the Florida vote started rolling in, and you saw that Miami had flipped red. But listen, we got to do a show. You know as well as I do. You got to keep it entertaining for 12 hours. So we were engaging in
just
some
saying that
high-level
'cause he lives
Bernie
there?
math into the deep hours of the night, trying to see if there was a way for Harris to win. And yeah, but yeah, it was a fun time.
I mean, look, it's been an absolute debacle for the Democrats. Why do you think it's been such a crushing defeat?
Honestly, I think that I understand that we have
Unknown things.
we have to keep our
clickbait.
jobs.
I can't lie. Whenever I was creating the thumbnail, I did think of you. But it was after I created the thumbnail. So
Who is that?
Oh, this is unknown. He said he was gonna give us $20 if Paris won.
Thanks, bro.
we gotta cover everything before the new week starts because there was so much that happened, so
Dude, this is the new MAGA golden era. There's gonna be so much. Meme Ranch is gonna be unhooked. Trust
you
me,
guys thought you got rid of us. you thought we didn't have a 4-year plan lined up.
The new 4-year plan is perfect.
And we have to make sure that our jobs are important by telling people how important they are. But I think the real answer, because all the analysis was done earlier by all these panelists, especially Roger Stone, who's an American trader, was absolutely ludicrous. I think the actual answer is Americans just kind of vote based on the economic vibes they feel.
Yep.
I think that
This guy's
when Biden
retarded.
won in 2020, it was because COVID. Everybody felt horrible.
Roger
The economy was
Stone's an American
everything was crazy.
trader.
Not just the economy, everything was crazy. So people voted for Biden. I think that when Biden came in, I think we had a lot of inflation early on. People still feel the cumulative effects. So then they vote Trump. I think it's probably as simple as that. You can try to reach to all
Kaylin.
of these other things, but
Yeah.
basically every other point brought up.
You know, the FBI showed up to Roger Stone's house and frog marched him and all that stuff at
Yeah.
5 in the morning or whatever it was. Now, how cavalier is it for somebody like Destiny to make that kind of remark about somebody who's gone through that?
They also did it to Jeff Clark in his underwear.
It's just,
you remember that?
No, I don't. But
he was the old DOJ guy who was also named as a co-defendant in Trump's Georgia case.
Well, he mentioned Roger Stone here, so I just was sticking with what the conversation was. But
no, but I just want to, like, there's a lot of people now who are probably going to get medals for what they've been put through, or at least, like, some kind of, like, what would you say, like some sort of, like, honoring.
How about just a pardon?
Yeah,
I know Roger got his, but Roger, these people are sticking their neck out for a principle, and I get that they are political operators. Some of them, Roger is, and maybe that comes with, he's actually up there, and you're going to get some of those arrows, but it's just disgusting what Destiny says to me. It's just very callous.
Now foreign powers are irresponsible leaders and abusing it, and its inherent weakness is against the American interest. Oh, he's saying that the Constitution is being used.
It is.
Yeah.
And I'll go as far as to say, just outside of the political realm and more in the realm of the marketplace, what we saw with the Budweiser situation and the Disney situation, where these American companies do not represent American values, is also what we're seeing with our government, in that we are lacking representation. That's what America is built on, is representation of what the people think is right, not what the people who are the elitists think is right, but the people, us. And we weren't getting what the marketplace wanted, either ideologically, politically, or within our products. So it's an epidemic, I guess. Kalen, how would you describe that? We don't get the culture we want.
Yeah, I mean, we are starting to see the dividends of Elon Musk purchasing X. I think we're starting to see a lot more of the culture choose who they want to be their main hubs of, like, information. Like, people get a chance to fine tune their algorithms, and I think it's great because no longer are we sort of confined to what the Mockingbirds on MSNBC or CBS have to say all the time, but we have a way to get new points of view that's just important. The media has been talking about recently, trying to understand why the public enjoys Joe Rogan so much. But I think that even if you looked at Joe Rogan in a microscope and tried to create an exact clone of whatever he is, but it was tethered to this legacy media, I still feel like you wouldn't get the genuine appeal that Joe Rogan carries. So I think it really comes down to how will just ordinary people start to have a bigger impact, who never went to journalism school, never went to any of the things that tell them, like, this makes you, like, an official, person in the media. It's about who can do it now just with their bare hands, and I think that's what we're seeing.
So we're in the argument in the realm of the marketplace, like people's goods and services. Rogan's an interesting person, and I don't say any of this to pass judgment on Rogan, but I feel like Rogan is a good metaphor for the American public, in that he does represent the everyman, and this is how. He's not a strong-willed person in the sense that I'm going to be principled and I'm going to be like an Alex Jones or I'm going to be like an Elon Musk. He kind of waited till it was safe to vote for Trump, literally the night before the election. And how do you, I just think that really represents a lot of people who voted for Trump. I think
that was a big decision for Joe because he really held on to his to sort of like his ambivalence for a long time.
Well, my point is, I think that that's representative of a lot of America. But I do think people who are, and I think that's important. I'm not downplaying that. I think people like Elon Musk are much more important and much more of a leader in their personal sense. Now, Rogan obviously, I think, leads a lot of people in mass because they follow Rogan. But people with a real sense of obligation to what's right enough that they're going to go against what's popular and go for what is, I guess, MAGA in this sense, are people like Elon. I mean, they went out there in Butler and laid it on the line. I think it would have been cool if Rogan could have been on that stage, but that's not his thing. So I think Rogan's role is more about being representative of the every Joe. What do you think, Kalen?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what I was getting at there. And you said it well in a different way. I wanted to show you guys something I saw on X earlier that I just thought was funny. It's not a Destiny freak out, but it is a liberal freak out that was on the Sunday shows today.
And learn how to actually. It's disgusting. And I would urge Mike Davis to go back to law school and learn how to actually prosecute a criminal case. He has absolutely no idea what he is talking about, and he is purely a political hack. And the danger of a Donald Trump presidency is that someone like that gets into a position of power where he will solely be focused on politicizing what must be a nonpartisan, apolitical role, which is to run our criminal justice system and to make the very, very serious decision about whether or not to take away someone's liberty. This is not a joke, and this is not some political game. And Mike Davis better cool it because he's getting way out over his skis.
Kalen, you're gonna have to set this one up. What did Davis say? So what did Davis say that's setting this guy off?
So I think this guy is just talking about in general the idea that Mike Davis has been floated as a potential shortlist for Donald Trump's attorney general list, and I think that whenever you look at Mike Davis, like he's a smart guy who used to work in the Senate Judiciary and help get people nominated there to be judges. He was very integral in that part. He was former clerk to Justice Neil Gorsuch, so he's been very well connected in a lot of different stages of government and politics. So he's a very zealous person about the MAGA movement, and he speaks in a lot of, I would say, like very grand, like aspirational, types of ways. Some that some might get really like sort of triggered by. But I think that at the end of the day, he's very sharp, and I think that he would make a good pick, but I don't know if he's the most realistic pick.
Do you think he'd accept?
I think even he knows that. I think he knows that he might be better off helping Trump sort of like outside, like kind of like he's not the same as Kevin McCarthy, but Kevin McCarthy recently said that he wouldn't accept a role in Trump's cabinet, that he feels like he's better served outside of MAGA. And I think that someone like sort of like a rhino like McCarthy, and then someone like a more MAGA firebrand like Mike Davis, it's like they're completely different types and people, but they both play their own roles sort of outside of the official federal paychecks and things like that. So I don't know what the future holds. I'm keeping an open mind because I think we have to have open minds when it comes to the future of electoral politics. But I think that it is I just think it's funny, hilarious how people, like, libs like Goldman are out here like sending these dire warnings and things like that about Mike Davis. Like, it's really gotten a whole branch of, the political framework triggered about it. And like, what what are we doing, everyone? Like, there's other things I think to be, talking about right after an election, like maybe some like self-reflection on
Nope.
what caused people to vote against you this time around. So I don't know. Maybe I expect too much at this point.
Man, I mean, you know the DMs I'm getting because I shared it with you. People think the world is ending because Trump was voted into office again, and they blame you, they blame me, because it's our fault because we voted for MAGA. And that's the depth of their reflection on this election, is that my friends and family who voted for Trump have inflicted personal physical harm on me. It's ridiculous, but that's where we're at. So, I mean,
Yeah.
how do you can't really, you just have to fight through it. You can't console them. They're not going to listen to you, and you can't appease them. So it's just,
Well, I wonder, I mean,
strong men time.
do people think that there will be some sort of like acknowledgement of the mandate for Trump?
No. No.
There's like,
What-
there's no like special power that like comes with that he's gonna like be at least like somewhat more liked this time around by people.
Tell me who grants that, Kalen.
The media.
Exactly. What do you think? No.
I don't know. I think if like the Washington Post actually gets more conservative writers, that would be interesting.
So, yeah. So I said this earlier to you, is that we won the election, but it means nothing. It's a hollow victory without policy changes. Those are the wins. That's when you have an actual win. So until we actually see a new direction as far as the rules and the institutions, then it's just a hollow victory. It's just an election. It's a poll. So if we start seeing some more conservative writers at the Washington Post, then maybe you're right.
The case of Anthony Nephew.
Who is that?
I don't know. Is that completely like off topic?
I don't know how far behind the stream is.
5 dead, including 2 juveniles after quadruple murder suicide at 2 homes in Minnesota. Holy shit!
This new?
Yeah, this is the last couple days. No,
I've
I've been out of the news, honestly. 5 people, including 2 juveniles, were found dead in Minnesota in what appears to be a quadruple murder suicide spread across 2 homes. Oh, that's awful.
It is.
This is going to be a big talking point. I think that this is going to be the next.
Is there
verdict.
a suspect?
It sounds like it's Anthony. He was an anti-Trumper who did it after Trump got elected.
Oh my gosh. No, I had not heard that.
Jeez.
I hope we don't see more of that. We just, there is definitely TDS. I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it in my DMs. I'm seeing it in my feed. Twin Towers, even Orange Man, bad, will never change.
Okay, but like, can we not at least like aspire to get a public that loves the Trump persona like even more as time goes on? Like, he ages like wine. Perhaps like the introduction of new family members into his orbit, like his granddaughter and his son, I feel like can kind of make him.
Do you know what it's gonna be, Caitlin?
What?
I wish I had this video for us to pull up. Maybe next time. There's this video I saw, and it's these kids on trick or treat. Have you seen this on maybe one of your feeds? And they go, it's a situation where they leave the candy out, right? So these are young kids. They're like 10, 12 years old. And so it's what, Gen Alpha? I can't remember which generation this is. And it's like, please take 1 or 2 pieces of candy. And they come up and there's a ring. So they're watching it on video, and they get the proper amount of candy, and said something like, I hate Kamala, and just take one piece of candy. So like they're being very well behaved, and then like trump or treat. And it's just the whole point of it was the next generation's based and they love Trump. So it might just take some time. It might just take time for a new generation.
Well, I mean, I think that by and large, the most pro-life generation will be Gen Z in the future, or maybe Gen Alpha even. Maybe it'll take another generation, but I do think that you will see a shift toward more value of life and the womb and things like that with that generation, because they will grow up in a world where Roe v. Wade is not a reality. And it's like these kids, like, they grew up with like tablets in their hands, so it's like they're already different in like certain ways because of the technology that they have. But it also goes with like the natural law, and the natural law is actually more like personhood rights, things like that. But we're not quite there yet, so I think that'll be where their sights are aligned, on those types of things, because I would say, like, it's like an infinite game of ping pong, and like we're on like the stage 2, and like it could swing back all the way to like Roe being a thing again, or codifying it.
It will swing back. There'll be another pattern where we go back around. What do you think the effect of the world's most important super genius talking about the shrinking population?
I mean, I feel like it's like a human embodiment of the Uncle Sam propaganda. It's like if Uncle Sam was like a real guy instead of like an illustration. Because you're hearing that message coming from a billionaire who probably lives a life that you or I wouldn't ever do, but like he's got a plane at his disposal so much that he can have like 8 or 9 different baby mamas. And like I was having
He's
a
single-handedly trying to raise the population.
I was having a conversation with my girlfriend about this, and she was like asking me if I like can't remember. I know it's a big distinction, but like we were kind of like talking about like not the like would I do that, but like could I do that? I honestly was like I was like I don't.
That's
I don't
a trick
think
question. Don't answer, okay?
I don't think it's a matter of wanting. I was like, I don't think I could physically keep up with that. Like I'm just throwing in the towel at one girl. Like
Elon gets Destiny's girlfriend pregnant. Well, I think it would be hilarious if Kamala had won, and then like the next day, that Elon AI, Elon Mao, just starts showing up at all the Tesla board meetings and like, I'm Elon Mao, money. It's like Elon disappears, and this is our new Elon.
All right, I might need Xpala or Rasmus you to put this in a different way, or maybe I just need to read it out loud. The funny and interesting part of the pro-life debate is that it is actually more about defeatism and the self-destructiveness than it is about unborn babies, even though it goes hand in hand.
What does that mean?
Like, is he saying the pro-life movement always has to be like losing in order to be effective or something like that? Because that is a criticism of it. Is that like there wouldn't be a pro-life movement without abortion happening somewhere. So it's like always. So
this is coming from the perspective of abortion or not.
This guy believes in Brave New World. We really need to get on those artificial wombs or animal surrogates. Yeah, CIA raised babies.
Dude. I mean, how dare you take Brave New World as your Bible? I mean, it's coming. So I guess it's going to be here soon. There's going to be somebody who's going to offer that commercially. I don't think it's going to be Elon. Maybe it will be Elon. Maybe he's going to go so far into the population collapse iceberg that we end up there with Tesla babies. I don't know. I don't like the idea of it, to be quite honest. I like the old-fashioned way. I was born from a womb, and I was born from somebody who was young enough to abort me. So I could have very easily been an abortion because my mom was 16 and she decided to have me. So to me, it just makes perfect sense that we should protect babies. Because, I mean, why would I want to kill myself? Makes no sense.
Yeah, that's always been like the argument that I've held. But like that's the thing though, is like I guess it's like the only alternative is to make it a lot more financially, like create like some like financial incentive to being a parent, which like not artificially, already there is somewhat of a financial incentive to be a parent, even if it's a small family. Like you can get, child tax credits and things like that. And it's like if you have like if both parents have an income, you know, I think that having, couple youngins that you gotta, take care of, like, you'll wind up having more in the end. Just with how much a family provides for you, like you'll have more drive and incentive.
If we go into that timeline where this all happens, that's going to have real ramifications legally. And there are going to be a bunch of Supreme Court cases over this type of thing.
Yeah, over like artificial wombs and things
all
like
of
that.
it, just all the implications, the legalities of, what is defined. Like, we think we have problems now in culture, like defining what is a woman. That's going to be a whole new can of worms. So I just think once we go down that road, we better be ready for it culturally, or we're going to slide back into like what 2020 was all over again on steroids.
Yeah, but I feel like people are kind of ready to move on with like some semblance of realism. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but we're going to see more and more people who were young transitioners, I think, come out and give their testimonies about regret or things like that. We've already seen it with Chloe, what's her name, who transitioned into a boy at a young age. I feel like this is going to become like a new sort of like generational problem that just gets, talked about in open mics, for years to come, people spilling out their guts about like what they've been through and things like that. If they're detransitioners, obviously if you transition and you had a good and it's worked out for you, then like, more power to you. But for the people that had it done to them when they were really young, I feel like it's gonna set a standard for where we draw the line, because there's too many people who have been hurt by it.
I kind of want to do it. I think it'd be fun to do a stream where we cover the Bill Burr routine he just did right after the election, and then the SNL skit. Did you see those?
I didn't think that. I honestly thought the opener was a little bit funny, but I didn't think Bill Burr was that funny. Like
no, I'm not saying it's funny. I'm just saying I would like to talk about what he said and when he said it. Like, dude, you came out after the election and said all this stuff. That's not brave.
Yeah, there's nothing brave about it.
It's like you should have been saying this a year ago, motherfucker.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just bugs me.
I was listening to that in the shower today, and I was like, ugh, I still feel dirty. This is awful. Well, yeah, we can watch that tomorrow. I think this has been a good show, and
yep. Thanks everybody.
Thank you all for keeping the conversation going. Please, if you liked it, just give us a like, so that this video gets, it hits these walls, it hits these ceilings. So if you don't like it, then it's gonna hit this like, invisible wall, and it's not gonna keep going up.
Help us make me marriage great again.
We
please.
always see these videos doing so well until they hit that artificial wall. And so if you guys keep liking it, then it'll help other people see it. We'll get more comments. We can respond to all of you. We always respond to all of you. You know, so we love getting your feedback, and it makes it a much more fun show to watch. Rasmus, let's get this last one in. Abortion and extremism is a symptom. The mentality of extremist pro-abortionists is mostly about people who are unhappy with the life situation. Okay, so you're talking about extreme pro-abortionists more so than the pro-life thing, I think.
But that's institutionalized. Go ahead. But I was going to say it's not just the people who are going to the clinics.
Yeah, it's like you see like those 70-year-old women who say like I'm voting for like bodily autonomy, and it's like, what are you gonna do? You're not gonna have an abortion.
No, dude, no. What I mean is like the legality of it. Like the people who went and prayed in front. I mean, they're in jail. So to me, that's where the extremism is how we treat people who are trying to have what they, like their pursuit of happiness. You know what I'm saying, Caitlin? The people, like there's people who are arrested by the FBI.
Yeah, like the way that the DOJ has treated pro-life people too is also terrible. Yeah,
that's a form of the extremism in my view.
But I think I think what I was referring to, I guess more so during the discussion, was like, how are we going to get people trained or like weaned off of Roe? You know, it's like, you know, it's like,
totally.
Yeah,
I was just responding to that last comment. Is like what I was trying to like rope in what we should view, or how extremism manifests itself right now. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the question of how we're going to address more. I don't know. I just think that the artificial wombs thing is an interesting comment that we'll have to explore at another time, because to me, I think we're looking at a crossroads where we can just make things more simple, or we can try to make it complex again. And I think people will want to, you know, have just eventually come to some sort of like over the target mark on this. And I think that living in a pro-life environment, like it's some we're living somewhere now that is automatically giving human life more benefits than we are detriments with Roe off the table. I think that we can cultivate an environment where people will have more of a
chance,
soft spot. Yeah, more of a chance. Yeah, and a way to view these things with like less selfish intentions. Because I think that people automatically assume like having a kid like means like the end of their life or something, like the end of
No,
their
it's
time.
awesome. You'll love it.
Yeah.
It's the biggest challenge you'll ever have. It'll make you look old quick too. Hey guys, thanks. We love having these discussions with you, and thanks for chatting, Kaylin.
All right. See you guys next time.